Welcome to Editors Forum. It's been a fruitful week with lots of action. Chaos at Ayawaso West Wogon, whereby elections were held on Thursday to replace the late MP Emmanuel Ejakon. At least 13 persons hospitalized following violence at one of the polling stations. Bloody and messy scene at the Labawaleshi Presby polling station as heavily built men stormed the area during voting. As usual, the two major political parties, the NPP and NDC, are at their blame game again.
Cannot subject any of our members to danger because of elections. We have no option than to withdraw from the ongoing exercise.
I believe it's premeditated, it is orchestrated, and therefore incidents are being blown out of proportion.
Well, there's since been condemnation from all quarters, including Codeo, Shraj, the National Peace Council and the UNDP, calling for a probe into what led to the withdrawal of the NDC from the contest.
Some security personnel in mass, if you go into a polling station to do security duties or to perform your duty as a security officer, Codeo thinks it is not good to have a mask on. So we are not happy at all about that one. We need to ask the EC to find out what happened.
But the Electoral Commission has since dissociated itself from the violence.
Did not involve officials of the EC. Neither did it involve the police that we had employed and deployed to that particular polling station. That is why I said that we disassociate ourselves from attempts to link us to that violence.
But the minority in Parliament insists they will not recognize the outcome of what they describe as the frauded process.
Therefore, are unable to accept even the outcome of the elections as one which was credible and one which was free and fair.
Identities of those people must be established who gave them AK-47 assault rifles. That is why we need to have a bipartisan investigation into this matter.
Listen to the NPP's response.
Is there a bipartisan investigative committee into Talensi, into Chireponi, into Atiwa, into Akwetia? How dare they? So if you think you are Ajimai and you can challenge them, they will also show you where power lies, and everybody will see their smoothness level.
Former President Mahama says the NDC will match the NPP booth for booth going forward.
We are not going to joke in 2020. And I'm sounding a warning to the NPP. We're going to match them booth for booth.
Did the police see this coming?
Is something which is clear and present danger to our democracy. But I can assure you, if we don't sit up, 2020 and beyond will be something explosive, and it can be something that will not be able to contain.
What did the police do about it? We have all the angles on Editors Forum. Plus, you can tell me it's a clash of the titans in that showdown by Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan and Asawase MP Muntaka Mubarak. Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan has since been referred to the Privileges Committee of Parliament over comments he made about investigative journalist Ahmed Swale, and the Asawasi MP has also since apologized. Also this evening, we will be delving into the latest Corruption Perception Index, in which Ghana scored 41 points out of 100. Are we winning the fight against corruption? We are live on digital address GA0992539, on facebook.com/joynewsontv, on Twitter @joynewsontv, on YouTube, and across the world on myjoyonline.com. You can also join the conversation via 0266047417 on WhatsApp. My guest in the studio, Larry Dogbe, is managing editor of the Herald newspaper. I must say that Ken Crunchy of the Daily Searchlight, publisher of the Daily Searchlight, was supposed to join us but pulled out in the last minute. He said he had an emergency. So welcome, Larry. Good to see you.
Thank you, Aisha. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Now, so Thursday's by-election suddenly turned a horror movie. Take a look. So you saw for yourself how events turned out at the Yawaso West Wogon when by-elections was underway. Now, Larry, I've heard so many people say that what happened on Thursday in Yawaso is, you know, will mar or it questions the strength of our democracy. And if you see the numerous statements that poured in, CODEO, UNDP, National Peace Council, IDEG, and even Occupy Ghana, it just goes to confirm that, of course, our democracy is being questioned. We know what happened in Talensi in 2015. We know what happened in Chirpani in 2013. Etiwa is still fresh in our minds. It's obvious we've not learned our lessons.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, and good evening to our viewers. First of all, you were right on point when you described this as a horror movie. Yeah, it's a horror movie. Democracy, basically, it's a competition of ideas as to how you want the country to run, as to, you know, your approach to development issues, how to better the lives of people. However, when it becomes, you know, conflict is allowed in democracy.
Yeah.
However, when it becomes a bloody conflict,
that's where the problem
that is where the problem is. So then, you know, like we saw, guns, well-built men storming a place and then shooting. I mean, Ghana, how many years have we practiced democracy?
Yeah.
I'm totally, you know, shattered that this is how far, you know, this is the path that our democracy is taking. It is not good enough, and that I think something urgent had to be done. The hypocrisy, the pretense, the insincerity is just becoming way too much on the part of journalists, on the part of clergymen, on the part of opinion leaders. It is just way too much. Something urgent had to be done.
for you, where is the hypocrisy?
The hypocrisy on the part of, people who are being, looked up to by maybe you and I, or people, let's say, a little below us, that they are going to call a spade a spade. What was wrong yesterday couldn't be right today.
Yeah.
If Cheponi was wrong, Talensi was wrong, Etiwa was wrong, we need to condemn those things.
Yeah.
We need to condemn that. And where, we sit back and we pretend that all was well. Or everything is well today. It is,
it was wrong then,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it's right now.
Yeah, it was wrong then, it is right now. Now, let's ask ourselves. This, what we are seeing, these police vehicles, they are not ordinary vehicles. These are vehicles that belong to, the police service. They are in the custody of national security.
Yep.
There's an officer in charge of operations called Colonel, Michael Opoku, who is a serving member of the Ghana Armed Forces, a serving officer of the Ghana Armed Forces. SWAT, SWAT also has a commander, or what they call, a station officer, by the name, DSP Azugu. Azugu is our national security. And so these are officers who we need to be questioning as to who deployed this, guys. If they were rightly deployed, how come the director of police operation is telling you that, listen, I don't know them. I know the men that are deployed. But these guys who are in a mask or who are masked, I don't know them. I don't know where they are from. Meanwhile, then they are carrying, they are driving police vehicles. The IGP tells you that I'm investigating. And we all know where SWAT, officers is under national security. So the first point of approach is for him to call, whoever is in charge of national security.
But I'm struggling to understand how SWAT comes in here. This is a by-election.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen so many general elections. I've covered elections from 2004. I haven't seen SWAT members deployed to any of the election centers. Did we even need this?
So they claim that they had gotten a tip-off.
Yeah.
That some people were in the NDC candidates.
Some intelligence.
Exactly. And so they stormed there to retrieve, whatever it is that they wanted to retrieve by guns and arrest people and so on and so forth. What was the nature of the tip-off? So date we don't know.
What was the nature of the tip-off?
And then when they stormed there, what did they retrieve?
And
then they left. They didn't retrieve anything, but then they left, they left behind injured people, gunshots, gun wounds, blood and everything. And these are masked people. And then somebody sits somewhere and tells you that. And Azugu was actually at the scene there. I mean, from the video, you see Azugu. And people who know Azugu used to be the bodyguard of ex-President Kufuor. He was part of his security detail.
Okay.
So Azugu is known. And Azugu could be questioned.
Yeah.
Colonel Opoku, he's also known, director of police operations. He's also known. He could be questioned. So, it's a game that, some people are playing with you and I, our lives, and the other people, other people's lives.
Yeah.
And they tell you that, it's a beginning of things to come in 2020.
It's the beginning of things to come in 2020. And I've heard a lot of people ask the question whether 2020 is threatened. But let's look at the blame game played by the two major political parties, the NPP and the NDC.
You have witnessed the bizarre situation we find ourselves in. Our candidate is almost held hostage. And ever since the voting started, the candidate has not been able to move out of his residence. His residence was attacked. Our agents and some of our boys have been shot at. I have just returned from the Legon hospital where 6 of our boys who are party agents and some of them accredited observers were shot at. Some of them have broken bones. Some of them are seriously injured. And as I speak to you now, they are preparing to move 2 of the injured persons to the 37 military hospital. That should tell you the extent of the damage. We have observed that in elections like this, the Ghana Police Service are supposed to deploy and provide security. Contrary to that, we have seen people in attire of national security, almost 10 at every polling station. And what they are doing, shooting indiscriminately, attacking people, and intimidating people. We have weighed the situation. Some of the people, including our sitting member of parliament, Honorable Sam George, has been attacked. There is serious intimidation. And as a party, we believe in rule of law. We have been in by-elections before, and we don't think that we are in a war zone. But this by-election has been turned into a war zone. We are peaceful, loving people, and we are law-abiding party. We cannot subject any of our members to danger because of elections. In the circumstances, I have conferred with the parliamentary candidate and the leadership of the NDC. We have no option than to withdraw from the ongoing exercise.
Not responsible for security on the ground. The security agencies, I believe, are well represented on the ground. This is a by-election. It's one constituency. So there ought not to be any difficulty about maintaining law and order. The difficulty I find is that I believe it's premeditated. It is orchestrated. And therefore, incidents are being blown out of proportion.
Which
in
of
that
them is
case,
premeditated? The decision to withdraw or the violence?
all of it. All of it.
The violence.
The violence. There has been demonstrated violence. We've seen some incidents of violence on videos that are all of a sudden circulating internationally, worldwide. But did they explain the source of the violence? We are informed, as I just stated, that there was an engagement with some thugs who were camped right behind the candidates, the NDC candidate's house. Instead of engaging the police in a civil manner, they chose to exchange gunshots with the police. This was not at a police. Yes, that is what we are told.
Okay. And
First,
and they are linked to the NDC, you are told?
Because that is where they were found, right close to the candidates. That is what we are told. And having fired, they engaged the security. And that incident happened not at a polling station. It has to be very clear. There are 137 polling stations. That incident did not happen at a polling station. Now, thereafter, the orchestration then comes.
I've heard many people say that if you look at Ayawaso, we know that, historically it's an NPP seat. And because we're told the NPP has won 6 times, the NDC has won twice. And I also remember there was a court case around there, one of the elections. So if you look at the dynamics of that election, many people think that, there was also going to be the issue of sympathy votes setting in. Yeah. So it was likely to tilt towards the NPP. And so again, if you look at where we're coming from weeks of insecurity, people talking about how unsafe they are and all of that. I don't really see, and I'm struggling to believe why the NPP would put up such a show, because definitely if that happens, then it will further mar, because you remember when we had the killing of Ahmed Swale, the stabbing of the Ports and Harbours PRO, and all the other, the kidnappings and all of that, the NPP government has been bashed and lashed throughout the week. So this certainly could have been a bad thing or bad timing to actually orchestrate this kind of thing. So I'm just struggling. What interest did the NPP have in actually orchestrating this whole thing?
I think that the question should rather have been, what is the interest for both political parties?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so I'll come to why the NDC should also orchestrate this, because if you heard both of them, this one says this one was just a deliberate attempt to mar the name of the NPP, and the other way around.
I think that, so Ayawaso was like, however, minute that election, was, it's like a decider for both political parties. Should NDC win, it's a shape of, what is to come in 2020, which is some few months away. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Or 2 years away. MPP you know, should MPP lose, I mean, it's the same thing I'm actually saying, then the whole government will be jittery.
Okay.
You get it? And also, to win, then you have to win decisively to prove a point. That's a, you know, a party in office. So then all these issues were going to play. Mind you, I think the MPP deployed the sympathy, went for the sympathy vote. Anybody will go for that anytime, any day.
Yes.
So MPP went for sympathy vote. Now, I don't think it worked to a certain extent.
Okay.
Because then people started questioning, why would your husband, you know, be in the morgue and you'll be chasing after his seat?
Okay, but
why
the
would
elections were held after
No,
his
I'm
burial.
coming. I mean, but then during the time, or why would your partner, it was put that, you know, then issues came. Initially, it was like, okay, this is my husband. He came that, okay, it's not a husband and that. There's not been marriage, it's a partner, you know, all the counter accusations and so on and so forth. So then I live in that constituency, so I know what I'm talking about.
So
and indeed, I went to vote.
Okay.
I mean, this, you know. So I know the dynamics of that. I've lived there for, you know, for some time, so I know the dynamics in that area. So it hadn't worked much. For the NDC, also wanted to prove a point.
So
they deployed
you think
a lot
that
of people.
even if the sympathy vote didn't help,
I would say it didn't help much. It didn't sway a lot of things.
The NPP wouldn't have won. It was likely that they were going to lose a seat.
It was, you know, it was going to be 50-50. Okay, it was going to be a slim margin. The victory would have been.
That if you look at the campaigning of the NDC and all that, they did well, but they really didn't meet that standard where someone would just sit back and say, no, this seat, I mean, this election was going to be a keen contest between the two of them.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think the NDC deployed a lot of, you know, and the NDC they campaigned. I think I saw Agban Bagbin, all the presidential candidates.
I think President Mahama
also went later on. Then President, you know, and then in the case of the MPP, you know, Dr. Baumia was also there, held the walk and so on. And then subsequently a rally was done there. Obviously, if the president was there, all the cameras would be there.
Okay.
And I note that, you know, Asempa FM, CT, many other radio stations and so on took their sets over there.
Yeah.
I don't know whether a similar thing was done for, you know, NDC when they went there to campaign. Again, then the MPP deployed what? Roads were being fixed.
Yeah.
Electricity, you know, suddenly street lights that had been off for donkey years had suddenly come up. You know, dustbins were being spread all over the place. I mean, then it's that here now, okay, then there should be by-election almost every now and then, since people are going to see development. You get it. So, I think MPP deployed a lot. NDC obviously in opposition, so they had nothing to do. Theirs is just to talk and, you know, dump exactly, win people's heart. You know, whether they succeeded in doing that.
And that's why people were thinking that if you look at how the NPP had how much the NPP had put into their campaign, there was no need to fear that. I mean, there was no reason for them to think that they're going to lose the election.
Yes. So then, upon doing all that, you should be sure of yourself, and you don't have to, you know, deploy such masked men, you know, to an area like that. Mind you, Ayawaso Wogon, it's actually a cosmopolitan area with very respectable personalities living within that enclave and so on. So a thing like this,
I was surprised.
Yes,
to see
I mean, you wouldn't have to do that in the heart of the city.
Ayawaso Wogon is a flashpoint.
Precisely.
I mean, we've covered elections, and when elections are coming, police tell us these are flashpoints. Ayawaso Wogon is certainly not one of them.
Not at all.
And I'm coming back to the question you asked, that, I mean, what's the interest of both parties? And I explained to you, if I listen to political analysts and how they've analyzed this whole dynamics of this by-elections, the MPP had no reason to orchestrate this. Then you hear these two people, this one is accusing the other for actually orchestrating this. Now, what is the interest of the NDC? Why would the NDC, looking forward to capture power from the NPP, doing their bit to ensure that they win the heart of the people, why would they, in God's name, decide that they want to mar the elections or put up this whole thing, and then, I mean, there's violence all over the place, and what I also am struggling to understand is the fact that they themselves will go in and beat their men the way we saw in the video, including a sitting member of parliament. I just don't understand why NDC will go that tangent.
Yes, so I also don't, that's how absurd it is. That I don't understand. That I will deploy people, I'll deploy you to go and do something for me. Or let's say your management deploys you to go and do a thing for you. And then they themselves go and start attacking you. It makes no sense. You get me?
Yeah.
And it makes no sense because then you have a situation where you see police pickups. You just don't see police pickups, but you see sophisticated vehicles, you know, route control vehicles being deployed. Not one, but 2 or 3. Okay? And then you just don't see those ones, but you see pistols, you know, being all doing the rounds all over the place. Gunshots, you could hear that. AK-47s being deployed, and by people who are masked. When I went to vote, I saw a lot of, you know, unregistered cars in the constituency. Sorry, in the constituency. You know, Prados unregistered. You know, let's say Land Cruisers, you know, unregistered. Pickup Toyota Hilux unregistered, and they were, you know, running all over. And strangely, there were police officers within that constituency. There were military men within that constituency.
Even in the video, we saw an immigration man making a call and
yes,
all of that.
Yes, and you know, it is not just what happened at the Baleshi area there. Then you go to the Legon campus where Edem Agbana of, you know, the NDC, I think he's the deputy NDC youth organizer. He was also manhandled by, I'm told, by one of the MPP, a bodyguard to one of the MPP people, one of the MPP officials, national officials. And so, I mean, I'm at a loss really hearing Yao, what's his name? Yao
Boabian Samoa.
Yeah, Yao Boabian Samoa, a lawyer of his stature. A lawyer of his stature, talking the way he's talking, that, you know, NDC or their opponent to mastermind the shooting of these people, maiming them just to prove a point, and that it is premeditated. It doesn't end there. Then you hear, you know, Esla also talking about the fact that, you know, she put it
because nobody called bipartisan probe into Etiwa, Talensi, and the others.
Exactly.
And she was like actually explaining that it was actually the NDC people who went to look for the trouble of the security personnel. And after looking for the trouble, they're now running back and playing victim. That was the explanation she gave.
I remember Esla, you know, her issues with, you know, her issues in Ododio.
Yes, it's still fresh.
Yeah, it's still fresh, you know. But for her to be talking this way, I'm totally disappointed. But then it doesn't end there. Then you hear Hobson Adoye, who is also gone on Facebook, and to type that, okay, you know, the slapping of people, justifying the slap, you know, the assault on some people, including Sam George.
That's unacceptable.
Exactly. You hear the same, you know, and then Nanabi, Henry Nanabuachi, the youth organizer of, you know, the MPP, you know, comes to one of your sister stations as Empire FM and slaps, you
That's
know.
a matter for another day.
You get it. So then it's getting, you know, somebody will say that the country is getting too hot.
It's getting too hot, especially
you know,
when we are heading towards an election year. It becomes scary. Now, it's obvious the two political parties are fooling us, because if we are seeing these kinds of things, and I thought that Talensi would have been the last for it, because when it happened, a lot of people came out to condemn. But even this one, I've seen so many condemnation coming from so many quarters. I mean, I haven't seen this kind of condemnation in all of the issues we've had in the areas where we had by-elections. So it just makes a point that we are not ready for this, and it is just unacceptable. Now, the issue also is that the state is responsible for protecting us, the people. And we heard that these people had intelligence, and that they picked on intelligence, and that was why they went to the area. So many questions people are asking. Number one, and you asked the first question on my mind, if they went there with an intelligence that people were harboring weapons, what did they find in their search when they stormed the house of the NDC parliamentary candidate? Why were they using police-branded vehicles? Did the situation at that material moment require, I mean, a SWAT team? Because I mean, we all know that during elections, you want to limit the tension, not to heighten it. So, I mean, bringing in people like this who have even covered their face with mask, and that's another question. Why are they masked? Because if somebody comes to your house and says, okay, I'm gathering intelligence that you are harboring weapons in your house, I should be able to see your face. Then any armed robber or any whoever can just storm your house and cover their face and say, I'm from national security, and you would have no reason to question them. So
and they were actually wearing T-shirts or polo shirts with national security
inscription of National Security Council.
And then beyond that, they had tags also. I'm telling you on authority that this particular vehicle that they are using came from national security.
It came from national security.
Exactly, and they know. And I'm telling you, see, very often we appear on programs like this and we give you some heads up that when you pursue them, you could get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to know about this. When the thing happened, I just made a few calls. And then I was told that, listen, question Colonel Opoku.
Okay.
Question Colonel Opoku. And
Why?
Colonel Opoku is the one in charge of, he's the director of operations at National Security. And so the SWAT team,
has been done.
The SWAT team is directly under him.
Okay.
And the commander I had mentioned is Azugu.
Yeah.
Azugu had been President Kufuor's bodyguard.
Yeah, you
and the
mentioned
strange thing is this, that Azugu was in Sarajevo, in Bosnia, to do peacekeeping.
Yeah.
So a character like that, with that level of experience, with that level of exposure, shouldn't be involved in a thing like this.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Shouldn't be involved in a thing like this. Now, Brian Champon comes in and he's trying to justify it, that they had this thing and that they had gone there to go and check and then so on. Even if you had something, is that an approach?
Yeah.
You would have called the guy, the owner of the house. Listen, this is what we have, and that we want to do a search of your house.
Probably that's not how the
SWAT team operates.
That's not how they operate. I mean,
no,
they
there's
don't.
a standard, procedure.
Yeah.
In all this, you could call the person out. You could even have a minister call the person out and say, "Oh, you know what? We have this tip up. We hear you are in danger. Can we come and then?" we want to talk to you briefly. So an officer, a level-headed, a senior officer, the IGP could have placed the call.
Probably
or the minister could have placed the call.
they did so, but were met with violence.
No,
and,
they didn't do that. Obviously,
because if you heard what Esla was saying, I wasn't there, but she was actually trying to say that these people were there. They didn't go there to, perpetrate any violence, but they were met by the NDC people around there who, tried to engage them in a scuffle.
You said that if you were in your house and somebody comes and the person is wearing mask, you don't know. The person says, listen, I'm your relative, Kofi. Kofi, why are you wearing mask? And says, I'm wearing mask because, because I'm here to protect you.
Yeah.
And you know that, okay, Kofi ordinarily wouldn't, wear a mask to come to my house. What is he doing? Could it be that a different Kofi or something, or I want to see you?
Yeah.
I mean, once you are wearing a mask, you are hiding something.
Yeah.
And you don't want you are a law enforcement officer. So you need, in enforcing the law, I need to have confidence in you. But how do I know that you pose a danger to me?
Yeah. For me, the biggest question of this whole team with masked, well-built men with NSC uniforms and police
AK-47,
and shooting and all these guns that they were wielding. The biggest question, was it an intervention or intimidation? I mean, should we encourage this?
I think it was intimidation. And, the NDC also felt for it. Okay, so what the NDC should have done was to say that, you know what, you are being intimidated. However, go out there and vote and prove a point to this government.
Yeah.
Show your anger at the polls. You get it? Show your anger at the polls.
Yep.
And so everybody should step out there to go and vote. Pulling people out, I'm not sure. It works, but doesn't work too much. It exposes something, but doesn't, expose a lot.
Yeah.
It could, imagine what would have happened if, the NDC had won this election, despite the intimidation, despite the, the weapons, despite the gun wounds and all that, and then 13 or 18 people being taken to hospital.
Yeah.
These are people who even reported. How about those who quickly fled and then went to seek treatment on their own?
Yeah.
okay, the St. Georges were being assaulted, you know, the Magbanes were being assaulted. And you know, the strange thing is Aisha, I think people don't know what happened. These days, social media, it's like a wildfire. I know you, you know me. We've known each other, you know, for some time. And so, should something happen to you right now, it's just a click of a button.
Yeah.
And then I get to know who you are.
Exactly.
I mean, people are taking pictures of you. Cameras, technology has made cameras available. Your image can be captured from afar.
Yeah.
So these guys who are doing this, they are known people.
Yeah.
And strangely, some of them, they are not even professional.
Even before the incident, we saw some pictures flying on
Precisely.
Facebook with their faces without the mask.
Sure.
And people were able to identify some of them. Some of them are from Nima and all of that. I don't know them, but
they live in
those
communities,
were
and then
there.
they go and then come and start bragging. They've taken pictures. They are sending it to their girlfriends. Their girlfriends are passing it to their others. You know, their sons are passing it to their daughters. So, you know, to get yourself involved in a thing like this, and the world or the internet is a huge library, such that tomorrow these guys could be picked one after the other.
Will it ever happen?
Oh, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
I know, you know, it could happen. It's just a matter of time. It could happen. And by then, how would we see ourselves? Okay, but let me tell you, you should be scared.
Especially going into 2020.
You should be scared.
And I've heard people say that this is a dress rehearsal
you should be scared.
for 2020. I don't want to believe that. And it's not even something that we should accept. And that's why probably ex-President Mahama made the comment. And I mean, I had a political analyst justifying that, look, you should send a strong signal to, if this was orchestrated by the NPP, we should send a strong signal to them so that in 2020, they will just understand that the NDC would also be ready for them. But is that what we need in this country? I think we should listen to ex-President Mahama's reaction to this.
NPP is taking this power as a matter of life and death. They said it already. They said all die, they die. And they are acting out and living the reality of the all die, they die. I'm sure that this evening when you turn on your televisions, you will see what happened at Ayawaso West. And so we are not going to joke in 2020. And I'm sounding a warning to the NPP. We're going to match them boot for boot. We respect the constitution of this country. And NDC is a democratic party. And that's why we abide by the rules of the constitution. But the same constitution says that Ghanaians should resist anybody who attempts to subvert the constitution. And when you go rampaging with forces and intimidating people when they should come out and vote, you are subverting Ghana's constitution. And we have a right to resist you. And so we'll get a full briefing of what happened, but I just want to sound a caution that NDC has revolutionary roots, and that when it comes to unleashing violence, nobody can beat us in unleashing violence. It is just that we midwife this country's democracy. And so we must be the first to respect the country's democracy. And that is why we are acting as a party that is very docile and respecting the rule of law.
So you had ex-President Mahama over there reacting to what happened on Thursday. And I've heard many people say this is in bad taste because as an ex-president, you should be seen calling for cool heads and not actually making this kind of statements, Larry.
You know, I agree in terms of the fact that, you see, if the president had spoken earlier and condemned whatever it is that had happened, I'm sure that would have informed President Mahama as to what you say.
Okay.
So then, this is where
because many said that his comments
precisely
came late. He should
and
have
it came because then President Mahama had spoken. After how many hours? After how many days?
Yeah.
He's the head of this country. And he decides the direction of things. When he tells us to sleep, you know, 7 o'clock, you and I should be looking for, you know, where to put off our light.
Yeah.
And he didn't talk. And he was watching. Because maybe the violence inured to his benefit. And when he did, he first congratulated the
But why would you say it's inured to his benefits?
No, but it's
what
for
does
his party. He campaigned there. He campaigned there. He went there.
Yeah.
He campaigned there. He.
So you actually believe that the NPP orchestrated this?
Look, I'm saying that if they didn't, they should be finding the drivers of this particular track by now. If they didn't, they would have been questioning. Brian Champon had owned up that he deployed the guys. Colonel, what was his name? Colonel Opoku. He is known. Azugu is known. They know them. They could easily go and then pick them up and say that, listen, come and prove to us. This whole charade, as oh, we are investigating. IGP knows about it. IGP doesn't know. Police operations, I don't know about it. You know, my men are not masked and so on and so forth. I mean, Asha, who is being fooled? Are you falling for that? Who is falling for that?
Yeah.
These guys didn't come through, you know, neighboring Togo or Burkina Faso or Cote d'Ivoire. We said the tracks are in a particular place. We have a SWAT team.
But
Brian Champon had come out saying that, listen, they will investigate. Investigate what?
Yeah.
Investigate what? Then he tells you that, oh, they got a tip-off that arms, weapons, arms and ammunition were being stored there. And so the way to do it is to storm their mask. The way to do that is to storm there. And then, you see, there were policemen on the ground. Normally, you know, your friends in the police service will tell you that. What happens is, so you find out the police on the ground, whether you can deploy them. And when their deployment becomes difficult, then you call for reinforcement.
Yeah.
Was this done? No, it wasn't. If it were done, the director of police operation, what was his name? DCOP Mensa or so. He would have known about it. He wouldn't have said, listen, I don't know. He granted you guys an interview.
Yeah.
You get it? So, and President Mahama, fine. Then you have a situation where I've heard a chairman of the Peace Council saying that, oh, you know what? President Mahama shouldn't have spoken the way he did. You know, somebody else saying that President Mahama shouldn't have spoken the way he did. And then you ask them, why hasn't the president himself spoken? Asking President Akufo-Addo. So,
yes, but I mean, that's another conversation if he hasn't spoken.
Yeah. The people who are on the ground,
so because the president was delaying,
the media had
he was justified to make those comments, knowing very well that a lot of people listen to him and take cue from him. He should have, I mean, it was appropriate for him to make that comment.
Well, the choice of words...
That they will meet the MPP boot for boot.
The choice of words you will have issues with, okay? The choice of words I'll have issues with. But I'm saying that you show the direction and others follow. Why did the president delay this march? They will tell you, oh, he was gathering intelligence. Gathering intelligence from his, where? National security, the same national security that deployed these people. Gathering, you know, intelligence from where? The police. The police who were on the ground and says that, listen, we don't know these people. And somebody had, you know, had raised questions that how come you have a situation where national security was supposed to be coordinating, a coordinating role?
Yeah.
How come? Are they no longer coordinating?
Now they themselves are on the ground.
They themselves are on the ground. When that happens, then there is a power play or there's a turf war.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a turf war. And that is what the situation we have now. You could have issues with President Mahama's comment.
Yeah.
However, it took the president too long a time to react. And then you've had the likes of Esla Usu saying that, listen, justifying what had happened. Hope Sinadoe justifying what had happened. Then Nana B slapping people in the studios and so on. Where are we going?
A lot of your comments are on WhatsApp. Let me read a few of them. And Jamal from Tamale says, this is a big shame on the part of the ruling government by providing hoodlums to a constituency just to win a seat. Means the current government is not doing well. We will match them, #boot for boot. And I've seen this one is from Bello in Tamale. He says, Ghana is tipped for peace and respected for democracy. We don't need violent acts. We should love one another and coexist peacefully in building our motherland. This one is from, you didn't add your name, and he says, let's call a spade a spade. Who deployed the men, and if they were from national security, why were they bent on beating the opposition members rather than protecting the interest of the election? This one, he says what? The NPP is spewing lies to cover up their injustice meted out to the innocent citizens of Ghana. Journalists should try and dig for more information. And he adds, the NDC campaigned. NDC did not premeditate any violence. We should ask ourselves those who attacked first. Though you didn't add your name. Let me take this one from Danso. He says, I'm not into politics anyway, but I think it's about time we stop the blame game and fight crime holistically. It's about time we look into each other's eye and say, you are wrong. And regarding the police who were deployed, what kind of police are we training for our security? This is disgusting to say that after 61 years of independence, we still think of our stomachs at the expense of the masses. May God help our homeland, Ghana. Those are very interesting comments. And I've seen, there's one comment I want to read. Okay, so he said, okay, so you go bring your NDC counterpart to make NPP unpopular and you get what? I'm not a card-bearing member of any party. I'm sorry about that, but Ken Crunchy was supposed to join this discussion, but he pulled out the last minute, some few minutes to 5 o'clock. He told me he had an emergency, so he couldn't make it. So please forgive me for just having one panelist, but it wasn't planned. Okay, so let's, this one, you didn't add your name. It says security men with guns all over the place. Can we call this democratic elections? This one from Gregory from Tardy, he says, Larry Dogbe is hypocritical and it sounds very funny. Tell him to stop throwing that in our eyes because we are wiser and discerning and won't fall for this. John Mahama is a mistake. He sounds like a serial caller. That's a bit too harsh. Gregory. This one from Bolga Tanga FK. He says the hypocrisy must stop now. We have tolerated for far too long and it must end. Did the NPC condemn the violence? No. The so-called, okay, I'm sure he wants to talk about the NPP. The so-called CSOs, civil society organizations, academia should not, and are they more Ghanaians than the rest of us? Okay, I don't quite get your message. You may send it again for it to read better. Amofa Eric says, please, why are we not talking about some judge assaulting the security men verbally? Okay, so, well, I heard him saying some things, but it wasn't really clear what he was saying to the policemen. Douglas Ziga from Canada says, let's call it.
He's justifying this, the physical assault on Sam George. So, that's what he's doing. That's what.
So Sam George retaliated with verbal.
No, he's saying that. Okay, Sam George, verbally assaulted the person, and so then the police or the national security officer
were justified to physically attack
was also justified in attacking.
Wow.
I mean, that's the essence of the testimony.
So Douglas from Canada says, let's call a spade a spade. Who deployed the men, and if they were national security men, why were they bent on beating on the opposition members? I think I've read this message already. And this one says, Assalamu alaikum, Aisha, what's going on in Ghana now is very scary. May Almighty Allah save us. Those are very interesting comments on WhatsApp. Adofwasa from Adan says, these happenings are not good at all. Let's watch out. And so many of your comments are coming. Sly from Zanlerugu says, next time you bring, oh, okay. So that's former Addison says, former President Mahama was right and speaks right words because Nana-Addo delayed too much before he came into, he came to condemn the thing, and then he came in congratulating the winner before even speaking about the barbaric act. Those are some comments on WhatsApp. You see from Yendi says, Aisha, the question is, who were the macho men protecting? As for who deployed the men, it's been answered already. Okay, I think we should listen to Brian Champon, who's been explaining what actually happened there and what he intends to do as Minister of State in charge of national security at the presidency.
Told that when you have an election like this, you assign security personnel to the parliamentary candidate or parliamentary or presidential candidate. It's a standard security protocol that we adhere to. In addition to that, we also receive intelligence information about some stuff, movements here and there that we track, we trace, and then we neutralize. And that information I may not be comfortable sharing on air.
I see. So the men hooded, fully armed in the buckets of the vehicles that we saw, they are not they are not guards for the MPs. They were for the special assignment on the intelligence you spoke about, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So were they successful in their assignments?
Because it's under active investigation, what the information we have goes beyond the by-election that we just witnessed. It's a massive operation of movement of certain things that is undesirable to the public.
Okay.
And it's something that the operation or the information that we have, what we are tracking, has not ended. I mean, as we speak now, our men are actively engaged in unraveling the thing that we suspect it is. So it has not ended. When it ends and we deem it fit to apprise the public of that information, we will.
Okay, so if I could get you clearly, your men are still at the home which was suspected to hold arms and ammunition, and when they are done, you will inform us if it is necessary?
I did not say that. I said we are we are conducting a major investigation for the public good.
Okay.
It started before the by-election. The by-election day, there were something that we followed up. Even today and yesterday, we're still that investigation is still ongoing. When it is complete and they are successful, the public will have to know. We will apprise the public.
Do you think the public must know because of the circumstances now, or that it will be a matter of your discretion still?
I am not too sure what the current circumstance is, or what the problem
no, because of what it has led to. 18 people injured. 18 people injured. Some have been to the hospital.
Can you repeat that, please?
18 people injured. We are told about 7 or so that were treated at is it Legon area or is it 37 and so on. We have seen people who have their legs.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Of course, the graphic reported 18 people injured.
I'm not too sure these numbers are accurate.
Okay.
We arrested 9 people in that house.
Okay.
In a home that is suspected to be the home of a candidate. We've arrested 9 people. 6 of them, in an attempt to resist arrest, were injured.
Okay.
They were all sent to the East Legon police station.
That's right.
Those that were injured were given medical forms to report to the police station. And we're talking about minor injuries. We have all the images. So I don't know. In fact, when the police went to the hospital to interview those who were there, we're talking a number of about 13.
Okay.
So we are not aware that 18 people injured and this and that. All those things are being cooked up by social media activists. I don't know where that story is coming from. It's not true.
Okay. So what do you say? My guests on the platform this morning, all 4 of them are united in saying this was a botched operation. That's as national security, a lot more was expected. You could have been a lot more proactive, and you could have acted in ways that would not have resulted in what we saw. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know the question that was put to them, and there's a lot of misinformation going around and judgment being passed on that misinformation. We have intelligence. We go to the scene of the suspected location. We go there, we deal with the situation, and I'm not too sure why those who went there for the public good are the ones being blamed. If the operatives that were sent there, they misconducted themselves, that's why we would deal with it. But I think that at least those who are working to protect the public good deserve some commendation for following up on the intelligence, something that we have been working on for the past 1 month.
I see.
Head Brian Champon there, he's Minister of State in charge of national security at the presidency, and he was trying to explain the circumstances that led to the violence at the Iowa West Wagon when the by-elections were underway. He says that they would investigate the matter, and if there are people who need to be punished, they will be punished. That should settle the matter, right?
Shouldn't. The man, he's so confused. I mean, sorry to talk this way. He's so confused. What did he say? That they had been working on this for the past 1 month, and you chose to do the arrest or the retrieval or whatever it is during the the election proper. On the day of the election, you stormed the guy's house with mask and everything. That was when you decided to arrest. What impression are you giving? You see, somebody is trying to mislead somebody here. You don't do that on an election day. Even on election day, if you suspect that, okay, this is the day that whatever it is, the catchment of weapons had actually moved into that house, or the so-called, thugs or the people who, the troublemakers, this is the day that they were to arrive or carry out that operation. There's a way of storming that house in a gentle manner, okay? It's a government. I mean, these
well, it depends on how the intelligence was picked. If it wasn't a gentle one, then they couldn't have stormed the house in a gentle manner.
I know you are. I know you are to play the devil's advocate. However, I see. Let me ask you something. If the person, if they are genuine in whatever thing they are doing, don't you think that by this time he's disputing the? He was disputing the number of people who were on admission or who went to
injured.
Hospital.
Yeah.
But I remember, that number came from the Legon Hospital. The 18 came from Legon Hospital. Okay. Not from social media as he's trying to paint. Yeah. Not from any, let's say a political party as he's trying to say.
Well, I know that finally the police confirmed 13 people.
Okay, but then the hospital, I heard them saying that it was 18 people. I think I've seen the video shots of, some of the medical officers saying that they had treated 18 people. Okay. And indeed, some people had even been transferred from that hospital to 37. If you were genuine, you, the National Security Minister, who had deployed officers and so on, and you were clear in your mind as to what had happened. You were independent in your thoughts. You were independent in your approach. You don't have any ulterior motives. You should go to the hospital and go and visit that maybe innocent victim. Before your guys will come in and then question the person. Yeah. But nothing of a sort is happening. And so then you're also having issues of social media. Social media, there are two things on social media: fake news and then credible news. Yeah. In between that, it's up to professionals like you and I to sieve and then approach. Okay, start questioning as to what to get. Yeah. So he shouldn't say that. Okay, there is a certain wave that is brewing where state officials, anytime they're under pressure, they tell you that, oh, don't read what is on social media. So mainstream media like Joy FM, they are disputing whatever you had put there. Then CTFM, they are disputing. Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times, Herald, they are disputing that. Then even on social media too, then they are disputing. Even when you have witnessed the thing as even, just an ordinary person. It's our
democracy threatened.
It's threatened.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that, look, 2020, if this is what you people are going to do, I am not going to put my life on the line, go and queue and vote for anybody. After all, even when I vote for you, I mean, what do I get? So I've heard so many people say that. So, and they feel that our democracy is threatened.
I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but there's a picture that, a lot of you, those of you on TV, you are not showing. There's a picture of about 20 people who were wearing black. Their faces showing. They had, something protecting their ears. Okay. And then they were holding military guns. Where they were training, okay, it's a military facility. I think it's Asuchari. Okay. And I have heard that a lot of these party boys had been given military training. Okay. Check from the BNI how many officers
who had been passed through the back doors and then put in uniform. Check as to police officers who were to go through recruitment. They had gone through medicals, they had done body selection, they had done this thing. And then to date, they haven't received whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then all you hear is that, okay, others had been called by party chairman and then processed, and then they are in police training as we speak now. Okay?
Yeah.
These are people who come out with a political mindset. And the next time, when there are by-elections, you see them using state vehicles, okay, state guns, state, weapons, and all manner of things to be disrupting it. And
I think that we can't independently verify what you're saying.
You could check.
But it's something that
You could check.
So I think we would check on that.
And
but until we have checked, we can't actually say that
there are
it's
pictures.
the truth.
And the pictures, you track down the one that I said they are military training, and track the ones where they were wearing, the national security vests and so on. And so then there is, a certain correlation in whatever it is that you are saying. And then compare that to the people who are, being bodyguards of the likes of Samir Wuku, the likes of, what do you call him? Nanabi, the likes of all those party people. There is even a video of them going to a funeral here. That is Honorable Chimache Njakun's funeral, and they were dancing.
The bodyguards.
Yeah, bodyguards had weapons.
And they were part of those who were wearing the mask.
Exactly the same dress they had. Doing jama, singing, police songs. Some of them had earrings, others were fully beard, and all that. All manner of things. You should be scared of that.
I think that going into 2020, the test is for us to deal with these things. I think that is the reason why people are calling for a bipartisan probe into this whole matter. Listen to the minority in Parliament.
Ours is not just to merely condemn, but to act for the identification and the punishment of those persons, or else we may.
That is why we need to have a bipartisan investigation into this matter. The Inspector General of Police has questions to answer. The Minister responsible for national security has questions to answer, because the men wore shirts clearly with the inscription NSC, National Security Council. But I am insisting that National Security Council is not supposed to keep a standing force of its own.
It is not up to the minority to recognize any MP or not. It is the law of this land which imposes that right on any of us. All of us are MPs, not because A or B recognizes us, but because we have gone through an election organized by the Electoral Commission, duly declared winners and victors by the Electoral Commission. That information is transmitted to the Speaker of Parliament. He will swear her in as Member of Parliament, and they cannot do FOCO.
So that was Eslo Uso and James Agalga there. Eslo Uso is Minister for Communication. James Agalga is the ranking member on the Interior and Defense Committee in Parliament, calling for a bipartisan probe. Do you support a bipartisan probe?
I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. At least, what this does is that it is documented. Okay, it hits on the minds of the people, so that in the future, when you see a similar thing happening, you will be alert. Aside that, then, whoever is involved could also be questioned. And then it prevents him from carrying a similar, action in the future. Then also, if there is any, means of punishment, the punishment is meted out, and then it deters others who are thinking like him, ready for deployment, ready to deploy, and another thing. So then he prevents future occurrences and so on. So I think that the bipartisan approach is cool. But normally what happens is then all the political parties take an entrenched position,
and it gets so
Bad.
difficult. Exactly. But actually, I mean, I recall as a young man, you know, a little, you know, politically active. I remember some of this ballot snatching, guns, you know, gun wounds, gun shots, all these things used to happen in neighboring Togo during the rule of President Yadema. I mean, Nyasingbe Yadema. And we used to watch them, the international, you know, international networks and so on used to show them. And the elections are held, and by the time you notice, you know, President Yadema, you know, is secured 80-something %. I'm not sure that is what Nana Akufo-Addo wants us to have. And so he would also want to have this matter investigated so that, you know, should he win 2020, it should be one of the, you know, his victory wouldn't be, you know, tainted with fraud, tainted with violence, tainted with blood, tainted with, you know, death and other cops and other things.
But if it ever happens, because I also heard the Occupy Ghana calling for a commission of inquiry into this whole matter.
Occupy Ghana, are they still in existence?
And all of that. But if any form of inquiry ever happens, what would be your expectations?
No, my expectations are, as I've told you, at least it's just to deter people who are thinking, okay, people who have received this training. People have received this training. What you see is a tip of the iceberg. People have received it. People are keeping guns. People are keeping military, you know, the private military training, it's in the hands of people. And we've seen pictures. They've been reckless enough, or they've been magnanimous enough to give us pictures of themselves, videos of themselves. And so all these things are documented. And I think that stations like yours, okay, what you are doing is key. You see your neighbor, and then it's, oh, okay, you've also gone through this particular training. And so tomorrow when there's trouble, or he's being picked up for one thing or the other, you note that, okay, this had happened. Again, also, when you see that there are some unusual incidents within your area, you could know that, okay, you know that it is him that is doing a thing like this.
Okay. So for you, the whatever investigation there is must be able to punish people who were involved in this to deter others.
It should punish. It should punish, and also it should give a clear, you know, standard operation procedure that next time when you are going, you don't wear mask. Next time, you know. I
mean, certainly our policing regulation doesn't endorse people with masks on their faces. I should be able to even have a tag of the policeman and know who his name and his rank and all of that. So yeah, I think I would want to agree with you on that. Let me pick a few more of your comments on WhatsApp. And Clifford from Sunyani says the NPP should condemn the acts of their so-called national security they deployed rather than blaming the NDC. They should be ashamed of their own act because it is not doing good to our democracy. This one is coming from Marvin from Adenta. He says, hey, what a country we live in. Eslo Usu saying the minority can do nothing. Foko, truth be told, we need to fear now. And this one, okay, so he actually posted a picture. I'm here to look at it. Ato Brown says it's about time Ghanaians think twice when it comes to voting. These politicians take us for granted. As Lowusu's comment, we should all wake to condemn these misfortunes before it happens to you. You might be the next victim. And Ato Brown is the one who sent this message. Let me take this one. And you didn't add your name. He says a former president should always be a statesman. He should always show leadership. He should keep tempers down and not inflame. He should go and put his family members and children all to fight. And those are some comments on Facebook. On WhatsApp. Okay. Let me take this one, and then I'm sure we'll be done with WhatsApp. Addison from Swidro says, President, commend the Electoral Commission for the professionalism it displayed in conducting the free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. Can we call this free and fair? And Addison from Swidro is the one asking this question. This one is from, you also didn't add your name. He says, are we safe in Ghana? Only by elections that was and it was that in that manner. What about general elections 2020? Are we safe in Ghana? That's the question she's asking, and she's demanding answers. This one, he says, it's now clear that the NPP is turning Ghana into a rebel zone. No wonder that Nana Akufo-Addo brought, okay, so I'm not aware of what you're talking about. And this one says, national security here, Ghana police there. Where are all these men? When children were being kidnapped, people were injured and killed. Is our security men only there for the parliamentarians? Those are some very interesting comments. MP for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan, has been referred to the Privileges Committee. Probably that might have led to the near brawl in Parliament with the Asawase president, because you remember it's the second time the Asawase MP, Muntaka Mubarak, has referred or drawn the attention of the Speaker of Parliament to actually hold the Asin Central MP to face the Privileges Committee. When we come back from that break, we will delve into those issues. This is what ensued in Parliament Wednesday morning between the Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan and the Asawase MP, who is the minority chief with Muntaka Mubarak in Parliament, very early in the morning in the Chamber of Parliament. We know that the Asin Central MP has since been referred to the Privileges Committee in Parliament. The Asawase MP has since apologized for the act, but there's been, for some time now, we've had so many episodes from Parliament, and people are saying that Parliament's image is dwindling. You agree, Larry?
It's a very difficult question to approach, but I think that what happened between Kennedy Japan and then Honorable Mutaka, it's unfortunate, but this is where we are. This is something we get treated. It's more like a drama, it's in series. So, or seasons, season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4. I wonder when these episodes are going to end really. So, I don't know how long ago, the two of them had an encounter.
Yeah.
And then this time around too, a similar thing is happening. This is the first time I'm going to speak about this Anas thing. I'm sure it's the Anas,
that brought about
this. There are 4 things that I have observed, or which might have happened as far as this whole thing had. Firstly, was that maybe Anas and his guys were investigating something, okay?
Yeah.
And that the person the whole thing is about needed to send some strong, warning. So Swale, what's his name? Ahmed Swale is killed. Another one could also be that a reprisal attack, an investigation that was done previously, and then the person now feels that, listen, I need to retaliate to whatever it is that had, whatever exposure, whatever embarrassment that had come to me. Another thing is that the third thing could also be that then it could just be pure, beef between Ahmed and somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the fourth one could be that there's a conflict, within the Tiger Eye setup. These are the 4 things that I suspect one of them might have happened.
Yeah.
However, then there was a video. As soon as the death happened, there was a video that went viral about Kennedy Japan having shown the guy's image and so on, and that it is out of the image that this had happened. You see, we all went to bed sleeping. After Kennedy Japan showed this, what action was taken on the part of the police
okay, on the part of national security, on the part of all others, the law enforcement, on the part of government, to protect these guys. What were the measures also put in place by the Tiger Eye team to also ensure their personal safety?
Yeah.
Self-preservation is the secret to life. You need to preserve yourself.
Yeah.
In the absence of that, listen, you'll be wasted. So what was done by them to protect themselves? Now, what was done by Parliament also? Back then, if at the time Parliament had done something, I'm not sure today we'll be where we are now. And with this, you know, fracas between Muntaka and, you know, Ahmed is gone, death has occurred. But I don't think, and people are picking Kennedy's videos and so on, and then putting out there that, listen, it is you who did this, for which reason the young man was killed. I think that we should just allow the police people to
do their work.
To do their work. And Kennedy should also, you know, watch his words. I have followed Kennedy for, you know, a long time. I had done a couple of publications on him. You know, I think he should minimize his regrets into the future. Okay, today you are attacking this person. The next day you are, you know, slapping that person. The following day you are involved in that. And you know, you had said this about ex-presidents before. You had called them names. You had called people drug addicts, drug lords, many other things. Some time ago, there's even, you remember when Adams Mahama died? Kennedy was the first person who said that ex-president Kufuor and then Mr. Kojo Mpienim and then Richard Anani and some others knew about this murder and so on.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Today, a similar thing is being said about you, and you know, you are so peeved and other things. I mean, so this is the feeling, or this is what he subjected those people he accused to. I'm not saying the accusation, you know, on him is justified, anyhow, but you see, like I said, he should minimize his regrets. You have children, you are growing. One day you look back and say, listen, you should be proud of what you have done before.
We've seen too many episodes in Parliament, especially the 6th Parliament, and many have said that this actually needs to be looked into because we're looking at bettering our Parliament rather than going or retrogressing. If you look at where we are coming from, Parliament those days, and I've heard from the Executive Director of Institute of Parliamentary Affairs.
Tell your viewers you used to be a parliamentary correspondent.
I used to be a parliamentary correspondent, and I've been there since 2005.
Yeah.
So we've seen how Parliament, and even before I got there, I've been monitoring Parliament's work and all of that. Now, you remember the Boakye Jako incident where MPs were playing blame game. We set up a commission of inquiry. I mean, nothing came out of it. We've had so many other issues that have come up in Parliament, and people think that members of Parliament shouldn't engage themselves in these kinds of you know, activities. And if you go to Parliament, you see that there's a place where it's reserved for the public, and usually you would see school children sitting there, coming there to learn some of the things that the MPs do in the chamber, to come and witness this. That's really bad. What's your own assessment of Parliament, looking at where we're coming from?
I mean, what my assessment of Parliament is that it's an institution where they protect each other.
They protect each
yes,
other.
Kennedy has been protected several times over.
I mean, why would you say that?
Okay, so let me tell you something.
This is his own colleague, his own member of, I mean, his colleague
they protect each other.
Who is calling on the speaker that, listen, one of us is not speaking well. I mean, the comments out there, it's not good for our image. So haul him before the Privileges Committee, and you think they are protecting each other?
They've been protecting each other. There were instances where instead of, you know, doing a public inquiry or let everybody watch, they do the thing, you know, behind closed doors. I think there was a particular incident. I think, was it Kennedy, the same Kennedy or somebody?
The recent one was Kennedy.
Yes, it was an in-camera hearing.
No, it was. I mean, it was for the public to.
There was a particular one where they did a.
Yes, an in-camera hearing.
In-camera hearing.
I think so, and I think the recent one actually is the Boakye Jako confusion, where Kennedy Japan himself comes to say Parliament's near full. So yes, if he himself is coming, I mean, and they say that if some, a crocodile is coming out from the water and tells you that, I mean, there's danger there, you cannot doubt him.
I had a thought.
He's saying, okay, so he's saying that Parliament's near full.
Yeah.
And I mean, people out there are also feeding into that. And he himself is also giving us something to believe that indeed Parliament's near full.
I think, first of all, that, like I said, they protect each other. So you have, a member of the minority, calling you to tell you that, oh, the MPP guy or the majority side, he says you are doing a story about him. He's my friend. Can we do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that? Trying to just, get you to, and it cuts across, okay? Now, and so then inquiries are going to be held. And then they tell you that, oh, this committee has the power to decide, how the whole thing is heard, the procedure of the inquiry. So we want to do an in-camera hearing. That is protection. When they go, they shut the door and everything, whether they are drinking tea or laughing.
We do not
We don't know.
But
do you
these
understand?
are people that we voted for to go and
Precisely.
represent us in Parliament.
Exactly.
So
maybe you guys, you should take camera to Asin North, his constituency, to find out from, his
Asin
people,
Central.
Asin Central, whether he's adequately representing them, whether he has been a worthy ambassador.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do you understand? It's something you need to do. Let's find out. Because then he does all this. And then 4 years, he goes, and then he's back in Parliament.
Okay.
Every now and then he comes to Parliament, they vote for him. Maybe that is what he's been sent to do.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a strategy.
Yeah.
Maybe, he's just erratic or reckless or whatever it is. However, if the people are still sending him, you need to find out whether he's doing, what to them they. And then maybe also the Speaker of Parliament will have to stamp his authority some way, somehow.
Yeah.
Can we have a speaker who will say that, listen, for so and so conduct, we want we are sacking you from Parliament for misconduct.
Okay.
And then by-elections are held, and then, another person
I
goes
think
and
all of that will be based on the standing orders of the House and probably
Precisely.
the Constitution 1992.
Precisely.
That will also aid the Speaker
I
to
think
be
they should
able
have that power
to
too.
do such a thing. But Ghana has been ranked 41 out of 100. It's, just one improvement of 1 from the 2017 score. And people think that, okay, this is good news. Should we be jubilating over this, Larry?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There are so many issues which were unresolved. And what happens? That it's perception of the people, media reports and other things and so on. The reality on the ground shows that corruption is actually rising. Corruption is on the rise. Inflation of contracts, we see them.
Is it?
And I'm not talking in terms of, government, but it's a country problem. Do you get it?
Yeah.
I'm not talking a political party. It's a country problem. It affects you, it affects me. So we see inflation of contracts. We see, what you call it? We see pilfering. We see value for money analysis, being shoddy. I mean, we see procurement issues, very difficult, to appreciate. And all you hear is that, there's no proper investigation. And even if there's an investigation at all, the investigation clears the person. Okay, and you've had issues where, the president himself comes in and says that, oh, even before the investigation is carried out, he says, oh, you know what, this thing is being done to embarrass my government, and so on. So then we don't get to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, you know that, this particular thing was to cost this amount of money. However, it's cost 3 times or 4 times or 5 times how much is being sold. And you question the person, they tell you that, no, that is not what it is. Or even if it's so, we are investigating. We'd never get to see any report.
Yeah. But this is a government that came to power on I mean, strongly on an anti-corruption, promise, and we've seen him demonstrate that he's willing to end corruption. At least we've seen the office of the special prosecutor, which many have questioned that it's been too long. I mean, since the special prosecutor was appointed, an office provided for him and all that, we still haven't seen much from him. Are we winning the fight against corruption?
You haven't seen much. Say you haven't seen anything. What have you seen?
Yes, I mean,
the least I've heard
so
now
far we've not seen anything.
We've not seen anything. 2 years. I mean, the kind of picture, the kind of picture
prosecutor. We've not seen a single person brought before the special prosecutor and all of that.
The kind of picture that was painted of, Martin Amidu as the guy who can smell corruption from afar, who would do everything, and then the same picture was painted of Nanado, that he won't tolerate the President Akufo-Addo, that he won't tolerate corruption. He won't do this, he won't do that. He will, stamp his authority and so on. I remember he saying that, you know what, I won't smell corruption. I'm not corrupt, I won't be corrupt, and you can't hang corruption on me and so on. Nothing has been seen. What we have rather heard is, okay, the person is being cleared. And also, from Martin Amidu's angle, I mean, the only thing that we are dealing with now is he and, Ayariga.
Yeah.
Where he's with Honorable Mahama Ayariga.
Yes.
Where he's chasing MTN to give him phone records
of the MP.
As if your investigation of corruption is just the phone records. Phone records of what?
Well, you may not know other things that he may be doing.
Listen, then,
apart from requesting for
then
the phone records of the MP.
The same man, there was an incident about several petitions had gone to him. Some of them we are reported on. I can't immediately recall them. Then he quickly writes to Yoko, telling Yoko to investigate whatever it is that the petitioners were talking about. There was this incident about Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, where they raised issues about the MD, Francis Essiem, and so on. And, that also led to the dissolution of their board. Now, investigated, somebody petitioned him, and he forwarded a petition to Yoko. What has come out of the Yoko thing? Nobody knows as of now. So the whole fight, on corruption has been shoddy, has been non-existent, and at the end of the day, it is the country that loses.
Yeah.
And we are losing. We are losing. Nothing is coming from Martin Amidu. Nothing. They painted a picture of, him.
Maybe it's early
or
days
maybe
yet.
the media. Let's say, not they. The media, aided in painting a picture of, Martin Amidu as the guy who can, deal with corruption and so on.
Once and for all. Okay, so for you would expect more from the special prosecutor.
And I think that, you see, at the end of the day, it is a media environment that, it is the media, the environment that the government is within. If the media is asking the right questions, okay, if journalists are not on scholarships, government scholarships all over the place, government stipends and all manner of political party stipends and so on, and then they are critical, they are asking the right questions, we are not becoming materialistic and so on in our approach, I think this country will be better for you and I, for the other guys, and then for the unborn generation. But what we live in now,
the media has a role to play. Of course, it's the fourth estate of the
accuse President Kufuor of corruption. We accuse, President Rawlings before, President Mills, President Mahama. President Kufuor is also being accused of corruption.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just the special prosecutor. It's also about how the government handles some of the accusations we've seen when ministers of state or public officers are accused of engaging in corrupt acts. How is it dealt with? And I think that sends a very strong signal to the people that we are willing to end this, or we are willing to fight corruption. We've seen so many of the accusations just going down the drain. They set up an inquiry, and afterwards we are told that the person is exonerated when there are clear evidence that these people have engaged in acts that probably they need to lose their jobs, but they're still kept there. All of these, come together, and Ghanaians think that, look, we still have a long way to go. for you going forward, I mean, how do we move on from here? And we've heard from the GII also saying that, I mean, scoring 41 is just not acceptable, okay? The global average is 43, and we've not even reached today. And I'm even amazed that a country like Rwanda scored higher than Ghana, 56%. It's amazing. How do we move on from here?
I mean, you see, Rwanda is a different environment altogether because of their...
But we know their background.
Yes, because of their
We've
situation.
never had such a background
no,
as
yes,
Ghanaians.
but you see, so our democracy, it's only in the air. It's not on the ground. It's only in the air. We just, you know, painting a very beautiful picture of ourselves. But in reality, it's just, you know, we haven't really buffed. We are not as clean as we think we are. You know, when you have a situation where, you know, the issues come, and before even investigative authorities could move in, yes, you have everything being referred to CID boss, who herself is also an appointee of the president. You have, you know, being referred to the police. I mean, so BNI and other things. And, you know, has the president put in place an effective mechanism towards, okay, the BNI is investigating, police is investigating, IOCO is investigating, so that you are comparing notes as to who is coming up with what. But if you have a single authority or a single institution investigating at your board, you know, at your level, where you have, you know, multiplicity of institutions that can investigate and give you accurate report, and for you, or even if they are not accurate at all, you can decipher as to which one is better. And you are only relying on one. And even before that one concludes investigation, you had issued a statement clearing the individual involved. Then there's going to be a problem.
And for me, one thing that I really don't understand with politicians is when some of these issues come up, when they try to play the blame game. And NDC will tell you that, I mean, during our time, we did ABCD, and the NPP questioned us and all of that. Then the NPP will say, they don't even have the locals to question us, because during their time, they did worse things. Okay, so if the people did worse, and we sacked those people and brought in people, should we be doing these blame games? Where does it take us?
Aisha, we as media people should be asking the right questions. Okay? And be it whichever political party is in office, at the end of the day, even if they are sharing that with you, it wouldn't take you anywhere. Ask the right questions. This thing is supposed to be at this amount. Or this guy has done this. He needs to be punished. Why hasn't he been punished? Mr. President, you voted. Remind him of, you know, his promises, verbally, and then what he had documented in his manifesto.
Don't you get tired yourself asking the same questions without being provided with an answer?
Then we should stop the job. Then we should stop the job.
We can't stop. We'll keep on.
No, then, you know, then it's not worthwhile. You get it? I get frustrated. I get frustrated sometimes when I report on stories and my own colleagues help politicians to come and say that that story is not true. And then I get frustrated because then this colleague of mine had gone to collect money. Yes. You know, I get frustrated where everything is constant. You had cross-checked, you've cross-checked everything, document upon document, and then you show that, they'll tell you that, oh, it is Photoshop. Videos, they tell you that it's been doctored. Voices, they tell you that, oh, it is not true. It gets frustrating. But then we should keep at it. We should keep knocking. One day when the people are enlightened, or the people, you know, and let's not assume that people are not enlightened. There are some ordinary people who can do the job even better than us. And so when we are not asking the right questions, they know. Okay, maybe the media should also reorient itself. We should put on a new coat and then meet the politicians boot for boot.
Yes, I guess we would have to continue asking the questions without, even if we're frustrated, we should keep on asking the tough questions.
And not just questions,
and demanding answers.
We should be interpreting whatever it is that is being presented to. Journalism had even gone beyond just asking questions
and
to
demanding
being
answers. Exactly the point. And sometimes when you are interpreting, people tag you with so many party colors. Well, I think we shouldn't get tired of our job. We are passionate about our jobs, and we should keep on keeping on and putting the politicians on their toes. Only then can we get somewhere. But this political blame game seriously will not actually take us to anywhere. Let me check a few more of your comments on WhatsApp. And this one says, look at what is going on in Parliament of Ghana, where school children come to learn and our lawmakers are exchanging abusive words. What are we teaching these school children to be in future? And it's coming from Miracle from Heaven. Okay, I'm sure we need this kind of miracle in Ghana as well. Alhaji is from WA says, I'm begging to see some personal attacks in this journalist murder. Why can't the minority leave Honorable Kennedy Japan alone and allow the security forces to do their investigations? Eric from Kumasi says, was it a member of parliament talking over, Eslo Wusu? Wow. Okay. And John from Ho says, oh, that was that very morning before I left home for work, I saw the fight coming when Honorable Muntaka was interviewed on Joy News that very morning. I said to myself, there will be a fight today in Parliament, and it happened. Okay, so you are a prophet.
You should be a lotto forecaster.
Yes, if you are a prophet, you will have so many people in your church. Mohammed says, Aisha, is it that Ghana Parliament has no rules that state that when an honorable member misconducts his or himself, he should be sacked and call for elections? And this one says, kindly try and go and ask right questions. We need people like you. From Kojo, he says, Mr. Editor, kindly try and go and ask the right questions. We need people like you. Kojo is sending his message from Tamale. And he says, if we believe in law of karma, we would not be surprised of what happened to the NDC gurus, because they committed the same practices when they were in power, and Richard Ejay in Kumasi. Those are some very intriguing comments on WhatsApp. Many thanks for watching, and Larry, thanks so much for coming. And I must also say that Ken Crunchy, the publisher of Daily Searchlight, was supposed to join this discussion, but he pulled out in the last minute. He called me some minutes to 5 o'clock and said he had an emergency, and the reason why we had only Larry. Many thanks for watching. My name is Aisha Marine. Same time next week, we'll be here and doing it all over again.